someone I wouldn't mind seeing in the black and gold. And we're going to wrap it up with this player, Leonard Fournette, who is about to get cut by the Buccaneers. Now, I want to make myself very clear. I do not want Leonard Fournette for the sake of saying LSU reunion. It's not about that, and never should be about that. It should be about getting the best football players that help you win the game, not be about what school they went to. That should just be an added bonus for fans to get excited about, I guess, but that's not why you should want a player. But the Saints need running back help. I know that I mentioned Bijan Robinson. I've mentioned Tyjae Spears. I've mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs. I have mentioned a plethora of running backs. But you might need multiple running backs because I think that the Saints are in that spot where, A, they need that running back of the future. So that's where the running back like a Bijan or a Tyjae or Jahmyr or even like a Deuce Vaughn, that's where they come in the fold. But you also need that other running back because there's a very good chance that Alvin Kamara is going to get suspended for a multitude of games. And when that happens, even if you draft a running back, you're kind of back in the same spot of you like one of your running backs, you know what the heck you're getting from the rest of your depth chart. So I look at Leonard Fournette, and I do think that there are some concerns, right? 3.5 yards per carry, not enticing to me. But what was good on the Bucs offense last year? They didn't protect well. They never tried to establish the run clearly. They didn't exactly have a prolific passing game. Byron Leftwich got fired after the year was over. And even though Fournette wasn't necessarily great, he still finished the year with over 1,100 scrimmage yards. And you would not be signing Fournette, in my opinion, to be the number one back on your team. You'd either be signing him to be that complimentary guy to Alvin Kamara or potentially be the lead back while Alvin's suspended, or you're adding him in there for him to kind of be the lead back, and then you see what happens with Kamara. Maybe you bring in another running back, and you go from there. But I think at the very least, this is a guy that, and has, again, nothing to do with the LSU connection, that you look at. And I'm sure Leonard will have people he could speak to, whether it's Jarvis Landry, whether it's Tyrann Mathieu, or just knowing the Saints well, because, man, he's been in the NFC South now for a couple of years, that it is intriguing enough destination. I think the Saints, if they're going to be successful next year, regardless of who the quarterback is, and I've said this many times, probably say it a couple more times, they're going to have to be a running team. And you can spend 30-something million on Derek Carr, but that should not change the fact that when you win football games, it should be because you are running the football extremely well. That's how they won games this past season. That's how they're going to have to win games next season. Complementary football. And there's no better complement to a good defense than running the football down the opponent's throat. And the Saints, if they were to add Leonard Fournette and still have a Kamara and potentially add a young running back in the draft, all of a sudden, that's looking pretty good to me. And I actually think the idea of signing Leonard Fournette, if, again, price isn't bad, and I can't stress that enough, would be interesting because if you do sign Leonard Fournette and you still have Kamara on the roster, maybe that says, okay, pick 29 and 40 will not be used on a running back. But pick 70, that might be the target. And guess what, guys? You can find good running backs on day 3 of the draft. You can find good running backs at the end of day 2. I mean, the Saints star running back is from day 2. You can find them. So I look at Leonard Fournette. Is it one of those where I'm going to be sitting here literally banging the chair nonstop and saying, I need Leonard Fournette on the Saints? No, I'm not going to do that because I think that's a little ridiculous. But should the Saints consider it? Absolutely. They can use a running back. They got to get better at the position. And I think this is someone who they'll probably check around on. I don't think it's an overstatement. I don't think it's me just speculating for the sake of it. I think that the Saints need help at running back, and I would be shocked if they don't at least sniff around to see what the price would be for Fournette, and you go from there.